Hi, and welcome to Riding the Line with Phil. Glad you're here today to join me. I'll be your host with this intro video, just to give you an idea of what the channel is about and what we're trying to achieve and where we come from. I guess especially me, since I'm here. The background for me is quite simple. Always loved the ocean, just besotted with it. Started windsurfing when I was 10 years old and kept that up for a long time, and then switched to scuba diving. Went all the way to instructor and spent quite a bit of time doing that as well. And then I ended up moving to Cape Town from Joburg, and I started kite surfing. So that was 20 years ago, and just absolutely loved the sport ever since. Then I was introduced to free diving by a little bit of a interesting turn of events, which we'll maybe get to in another video. But I fell in love with that sport as well. So I've been doing that for about a year now. And I was blessed with the fact that I got into the sport with some of the most amazing free divers. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what kind of free diving we do. So the free diving is really two categories. One is where it's a sport. So basically the idea is that you stay underwater as long as you can, swimming lanes kind of thing, as an example. And, you know, things like breath holds in the open ocean, how deep can you go, and so on. So there's the first thing that people associate free diving with when they hear that term. What we do is slightly different. So our goal is to enjoy the environment. We want to look at what's around us. Freediving also has a profound effect on your physiology, your mental state, your emotional state. And we call that activation of the mammalian dive reflex. And it's quite a complex little process, but there's some more content there we can get into later. So we also do dives where we get good activation of that. And so we chase those kind of things. We don't chase numbers. It doesn't matter how deep we dive. There's no any kind of pushing is really taken out of the equation. So we often refer to the green, the orange, and the red state that you're in. So we're always green. You know, you get to orange, things are looking not so good. When you get to red, you're in shit. So we don't chase those numbers. It's not like we go, I've got to hold my breath another 10 seconds, got to hold my breath. We don't do that. So similar to kiting. Now, kiting, the kind of situation is all of us kite. We're at different levels of competency when it comes to doing all sorts of stuff. But it's not our goal to be competitive kiters. Well, not anymore anyway. We just enjoy our kiting. But we use a lot of the same principles I found in kiting that we use in freediving. So you get to the beach and you kind of look around and you see, is this beach looking green? Is it cool? Are things feeling okay? So, you know, that's the kind of thing that we're doing. We don't go out in every single wind gust or storm that's on the horizon. We calculate what we do and we choose good conditions and that kind of thing. But the big concern with kiting is safety, and really been a very difficult situation to address. And the reason is that the whole concept of safety in kiting is taken up in one or two steps working up to a potential problem. So what do I mean by that? So we're getting into the nuts and bolts of what this channel is about and what I'm trying to achieve. So, you know, I like to look at an event. We're going to call it an event. And this is really what the channel's about. You have an incident, you know, someone got hurt or some kind of disaster took place. I then like to start dissecting that whole incident and working almost like a bubble outwards to all the little things that were involved that ended up in this incident. So when I will look at a video or discuss a kiter that has died, for instance, and the reason he died was XYZ, I don't know. You know, normal people say, well, he wasn't trained and he wasn't this and he wasn't this and he shouldn't have done it. But that's not really the reason why he died. We need to find the chain of events that led up to it. Because if you don't find that thread, you don't put all the little pearls together, you're actually not going to understand what to do to avoid this incident. Because if you just take one pull, and you fix those things, you're still going to end up with a string of pulls. So by dissecting this kind of thing, that's really where the trick is. And from those conclusions and the understanding that brings and what's all involved in a specific event, then we can make changes in behavior and in safety and in policy and in training and all sorts of things like that. We can't just simply go off and say, well, we're going to ban ABC because someone got hurt. So no, you can't just ban something. You have to look at it and understand why, and then put something in place so that it works. So it's an analytical process, and luckily my analytical ability is still quite intact, and I can still figure these things out. And and I think it'll be useful, and it's nice to share that information. And it's sometimes very interesting to figure out what's going on, and trying to tear it apart. And then, of course, with the community, it's not just providing information; it's about sharing information. 10 heads are better than one head. And I could look at an event and tease out 3 main aspects that are there, but someone else may tease out a 4th or 5th one, which radically changes the way we look and we think about it. And that's cool. That's what the plan is. That's the idea, is to stimulate people to get in touch with the sport that they do and understand how it works. Get a real grip on it. Not just do it and take everything for granted, but really understand what it is. That's really where your experience comes from, and when you can take that experience and you can break it down and understand what makes up that event, then it becomes wisdom, and that's really what we're after. So that's going to be the nuts and bolts of the video. Now, in the freediving, you may definitely say, well, Phil, what are you going to tell us about freediving? I'm a guy that's been freediving for 20 years, and I this, and I that, know this, know that, know this, know that. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Having a mindset of tearing things apart and understanding where the problems came from, 70%, even 80% of that has got nothing to do with your knowledge of what's going on there, what the sport is. It's got to do with your logic. What are the logical things that should happen from A to B, from B to C? What are the logical things? What is the significant? What is the risk? What happens? What can go wrong here? And you can tease all those things out without being a freediver. I can give you a freediving video to look at where someone's blacked out, and you can, if a person's logical and he's understanding the basic concept, you'll be amazed what you can find in those videos, what a person can find. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the only person that can figure it out and therefore I'm very clever and because of this blah, blah, blah. The reality is I was lucky and blessed enough to spend time with people in the recreational freediving side, which has focused their teaching and training methodology and their practice over many, many years, decades. Okay, I'm talking 20, 30 years. And I've spent a lot of time quizzing them, thinking, asking them questions, finding out why things are done in a certain way. That's me. I logically want to understand exactly what the hell's going on. So I'm trying to figure these things out. I'm trying to see what happens. And these guys, they're my food. They're absolutely my food because they've had incidents. They've had so many incidents and so many things that have happened and stories to tell. And they've generated a good understanding and wisdom around these incidents. And they're willing to share them. And so I'm willing to share them with you. And I'm willing to listen to what they say. And I think for the most part, some of them I do take their word as gospel. But in other cases, I don't really. I kind of question everything. It's and one of those irritating personality traits that I have. I do it this way. Why? I want to know why. Well, we just always done it that way. Okay. Well, that's an answer, but I mean, it's not really telling me why you're doing it. Just we've always done it that way. So, yeah, that's the kind of problem that you're going to end up having with me if you don't have some good explanations. And if I don't have a good explanation, then I must shut up. That's the way it is. Or I must listen and share it, and that's what I want to do. So, guys, yeah, it's been cool. This is a awesome undertaking that I've embarked on. It's been really difficult to get to this point where I can actually put a video up for so many reasons, but all of those things we'll touch on, strangely enough, on many of the videos that we go through, because we're all the same. We're all the same. We all have the same logic. We think the same. You may think that other person doesn't have your logic, but they do. It's a case of practicing and understanding, and of exposure, and of curiosity, willing to learn more. So if you're that kind of person, you're into karting, diving, any water sports related thing, and you like to understand what's going on, the physics around you, what does the physics say, what does the biology say, what does the physiology say, and you want to find out those things, makes you curious, then you're definitely at the right place. So our first episode's going to go up pretty soon here. I just wanted to do this intro video so you got an idea of what it's about and you don't get caught completely sideways, because the first video is going to be quite rough. I actually made it quite a while ago, and it is going to probably cause some comments. Anyway, thanks for the intro, watching it with me. I appreciate your time. Thanks very much. See ya.